of changes in the digital advertising world, audience targeting. Some of you who run ad campaigns might have noticed, but there's also other ecosystem changes happening that we thought, it's important for business owners um, to connect the dots and see, okay, what should I really be looking at? So that's what myself and Elizabeth will be sharing with you today. Just a quick intro, as we're both working for Gravity Marketing. We're an outsourced marketing firm based out of Milwaukee, but now with branches all over the US and out. Uh, we're both partners of the business and we have kind of different specialities. I focus more on digital advertising and all to do with our automation platform, CRM. And Elizabeth is responsible for all our content strategy and operations. Do you want, sorry, Elizabeth, do you want to add something as well?
No, that was a great intro of me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So let's kickstart. The idea today is to go straight to the point, highlighting what are the main changes in digital advertising and kind of our ecosystems as we all know it, and share some insights on that. How to own your contacts as a business owner, how to grow your contact database with a few tips and some additional insights on how to engage your audience that I would like to share with you today. We're aiming for a 30-minute session, so we're going to go straight to the point. So a bit of an overview of what is happening right now. So what we call the ecosystem or ecosystem changes, they really have to do with things that have been going on in different places of the world, but they're affecting the US market. So privacy laws, all to do with users wanting to protect their information online. And GDPR was launched in Europe. We're going to have a quick overview of that. California Consumer Privacy Act as well. Apple with iOS 14, Google with no third-party cookies. So there's a lot of going on that is aiming at protecting the end user privacy. And those changes are really affecting what we see on platforms like Facebook, Google Ads. So we're going to just give a quick overview of what's changing, but mainly we're going to focus today on planning ahead and making sure you have the right tools to address this. Other obviously trends that are happening right now, as you know, is the work from home and remote workforce that is getting global, and that has some implication for businesses, or at least we should be prepared for what this means in terms of our marketing and sales efforts. Also, one thing we've noticed with our clients is due to social distancing measures, there's less face-to-face contact, or at least opportunities to network face-to-face. So this is something we need to account for and have some measures in place to be able to still grow our businesses and meet new people. So we'll be sharing how to plan ahead, basically how to advertise, how to look at your advertising performance and update needs that you need to do right now. A quick checkup on your marketing and sales data infrastructure, how you're dealing with that, and how you're prepared to grow your customer and prospect database, and a little bit on contact ownership and how to prepare for what is now being checked as a high turnover wave that we're expecting in businesses. Elizabeth is going to be sharing as well some audience ownership and engagement. So how to really create this consistent touch bases with your audience. From having a fresh contact database to frequent and relevant communication and an engaged community lead gen. So this is all very exciting stuff. Okay. Well, quick overview. If this has been, it's been a while that all these privacy laws and directives are happening in the world. So Apple started it back in 2017 with changes on iOS, GDPR in Europe, Firefox, Google Chrome announced that they were going to eliminate third-party cookies. California also signed up the California Consumer Privacy Act. What all this means really is that the technology that was in place called these third-party cookies and allowed the advertising platforms to track users. And once they see information in one place, they could actually be targeted with ads, very relevant ads, in a different website, right? You've probably all come across this when you've been searching for flights, and then suddenly when you go to booking.com, you seeing an ad for a flight. If you haven't booked it yet, it was like, oh, how did that happen? So this is how third-party cookies work. And what this really changes is the way the advertising needs to work, and business owners, small medium companies, should really be thinking of how to have the ownership of your contact database so you can rely on your data more. So by the numbers, just to have a feel for how big these changes are, in the US, 82% of people in the US currently use Google to search. So basically, the large majority, which means everything that Google decides to change, like stopping third-party cookies from January 2022, will affect all of us. Also, the browser where you conduct your search, if you're using Google Chrome, Safari, that also makes a difference. So if we look at these numbers, all of us are using between Google and Safari. Um, how do these affect? So before we kind of start looking at how to get our hands on doing some changes, how will these changes really affect businesses? Because they can sound a bit geeky from a digital advertising point of view. They will probably, and if you haven't done something about it, or if your marketing team hasn't started planning for this, you could be noticing a lower performance in digital advertising. So we really say address it if you have it. So if you are advertising on Facebook, um, Google Ads, and especially if you're running ads that don't really, conduct to someone visiting your website, but there's no way to collect a email or some information about that person that is interested in your business, you really lose that money that you invested in some way because you're not keeping some data for you to use in future marketing campaigns. So things like remarketing, tracking, showing ads to one of your, someone who saw your ad, being able to remarket to that user later on. That's being restrained with these changes. If you've in the past used stuff like Facebook lookalike audiences or behavior interest-based audiences, they would also be impacted by these changes. So what we're really advising most of our clients to do, and that's what we're doing with them as well, is using your custom audiences, which is a function that you can use, for example, on Facebook, to create, it's almost like you're creating your own interested bubble of people interested in you. And for that, you need your contact database. And that's kind of, we thought it was so important to have this session open to the public to say definitely how to plan for this. Something else we would really see affecting if you don't have it in place is your marketing and sales data infrastructure. So our advice is really check it today. Where is your prospect database? Where does it live? Where is it going? So the people who interact with you, for example, if they go to your website, they submit a contact us form, where are you storing that information? Do you have access to it? Is there something else happening with those contacts? Do you have a way to send them an email if you want? Um, how do sales and marketing teams share these contacts? If you have a sales team in place who is going out and talking to prospects or to customers, are those contacts saved somewhere? Are they just living on their inboxes as emails? The other aspect, which is not totally related to the digital advertising changes, but to what's going on in all our businesses, is the work from home and the social distancing measures have affected, or have, I would say, even highlight a bit more of what was already urgent to do. Computers are no longer in the office, so people are working from home or remotely. So where do you currently have your customer contacts? Are they at home in each one of your employees' laptops, or do you have it in a central place in the cloud where everyone can access? And can you, from one day to the other, could you have access to that database if you wanted? Um, are you focusing on building marketing strategies to be able to grow your database? Because there was a lot of restrictions to have face-to-face networking events. So how are you making sure that you keep out there gathering these new prospects? And one of the things it's also being identified as a bit of a trend is businesses should be preparing for a wave of higher turnover in their companies. So this is something that's some businesses are already noticing that, some others will take a bit few more months to see. But if this happened, would you be ready to, do you own those contacts? Do you have them um, at your with easy access to you? So what are we're going to share really very easy to act on aspects to build your contact database, trying to check if you already have it in place. If you don't, what are the things we suggest you do? And these are very, very hands-on. So the first thing we advise, and when we work with our clients, we do this for them, but it's really to prepare and gather this data in one place. So before finding the place where you're going to store it, the main thing is, the first thing you should do is really check what are the sources, where is your customer and prospect data living. And this could be, probably your invoicing platforms. So if you're using QuickBooks, that would be one source. Do you store your contacts in Outlook or Gmail? And a reminder that inbox doesn't count because you can't export contact information from your inbox. It's really about that section of contacts. Are you saving when you interact with someone? Most people don't. So be aware of that. Do you have a sales CRM in place, or ERP, shipping software, customer service software? All those sources would be very reliable sources to start with. So I would advise you to identify where they are, determine what unique data you can obtain from each. So example, if you have your invoicing system where you can export contacts, then you could start looking at, okay, these are customers. When was the last time they bought something from me? So are they active? What type of product did they buy or service? Can I try to segment them somehow so I learn more about them? Do I have end location by having a shipping address, and so forth? Start with the most reliable source. That would be my advice. So start with the place or the source of data, let's say your invoicing probably software, or if you ship product, that would also be a highly reliable source to tell you and to get that data from. And then choose a place to have that platform. A quick tip that I'll be sharing afterwards is, when you're doing this process, I would advise you to have something as simple as an Excel file when you start, where you gather on different sheets, all the source of data that you brought your contacts from. Let's say it's QuickBooks or your invoicing, Outlook, an ERP system, and create what I call the all, or what you want your database to be. So to make it really easy to organize those contacts with your source, where those contacts came from, so you know what they mean. A status, so are they active customer? Did they buy from me or just a prospect? And then company information and contact people information. So your customers, if you're dealing with B2B, I would say key name, website, because this will help you cleaning that data, and then location. And if you have information about purchases, you should use that as well. And then contact information, key is really an email, so you can mark it first and last name, and if you have phone and title. I will share this as an example
And
here.
Anna, I would add that the reason that you added each of those in separate columns is really important, so that you can easily sort your contacts by alphabetical order or by city where they're located. Sometimes when we import data from clients, everything, the whole address is in one cell, and then you can't sort it, and it's hard to import into a CRM.
Thank you. Yes, that is true. Um, so I would say the next step is really to find a CRM solution. There's tons out there. I try to highlight the things I would be looking for right now. So I think it's key to have a cloud-based solution nowadays, so you can have access from wherever you are. You should be really looking for, there's always a full list of functionalities, but I would say a CRM that connects to your website or accepts info from other website forms, that would be key nowadays. So you have an automated way to gather those contacts from your website. Uh, and a CRM that automatically integrates with an email marketing platform, whichever one you want to use, but make sure that that information flows without manual imports. And then obviously ease of use, intuitive, which is really try out a few before committing, automation functionalities, and the price and support you'll have for that. And remember that Outlook and Excel are not a CRM. they're good to, you can start with, but they really won't do the job. I'll pass to Elizabeth to kind of tell us a little bit about how, when you own this data, how do you keep them engaged?
Thank you. Yeah, so as Anna said, if you're looking at doing a supplement to your advertising, or even replacing some of the things that you're doing that may have third-party cookies, to continue, whether it's lead generation or building awareness about your company, the benefit of owning your contacts means that you can communicate directly to them, and the fact that they are your contacts, whether they're people you would like to reach out to, who you've identified, fit well with your target audience, or they're people you know or have bought from you in the past. They're really most likely going to be a more engaged audience than somebody that you're just sharing something with without even knowing it online. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So once you have a database and you're able to, you've sorted it, you've segmented it if possible, you really have a feeling for the types of people that are in that database and how you would want to approach them or sell to them. You want to really figure out how to communicate with them in a valuable way, or we should say in a way that's valuable to them. So the first thing that we would do when looking at relevant communication is defining personas. So most likely, if you're a business owner, you have, or you're in sales or marketing, you have an ideal customer that you're trying to bring into your business. A persona, the difference between an ideal customer and a persona is that a persona breaks down that ideal client into types of fictional buyers. So it could be based on a job function or a role. It could be an actual title or an industry. But it's a way to really narrow down that ideal client into a few different types of people who are going to have challenges, needs, priorities that are all things that you would want to communicate in a different way from one another. So for instance, if one persona may be somebody in the food industry, and one persona may be somebody in the medical industry, or it could be someone's in operations and somebody is in estimating. It all depends on the types of people that are most likely to buy your product, and then understanding, if you understand the challenges or the needs that they have, then you can draft messaging that's directly intended for each of those personas, and really write that messaging in a way that's emotionally going to connect with them, in a way that resonates with them. So, I've been getting a lot of emails, for instance, about needing a business loan, for instance. So I've been getting a lot of marketing emails from people I don't know, who have identified me maybe on LinkedIn as a partner in a business, and they're trying to tap into an emotional need I may have because of COVID, that I may need help with a business loan. So it's very similar to that. Then you want to segment your database to match the personas. So when you have these, if the personas are different job titles or job functions in a CRM database, you're able to actually, for a better term, tag them or flag them so that you can send an email just to each persona. Or like we said previously, it could be maybe you only want to reach people in a certain region or a certain business size or a customer. Then you can build the communication, and we use a mass email platform for this type of communication, because what we want to do is we want to frequently touch either our entire database, which could be through something like an e-publication or an e-newsletter that really appeals to everybody in some way. Or it could be that we want to do some e-blasts, or an e-blast could be a sales announcement, or a resource that you want people to be aware of, an update about your business, especially if you're in an industry with COVID where you need to continuously update people on how they can reach you. And then prospecting emails, which might be more of a drip campaign where you're trying to encourage somebody to respond and potentially set up a meeting or a sale. And so with a mass email platform, we would use things like Zoho Campaigns, which is integrated with the Zoho CRM platform, MailChimp, which has its own integrations with various CRMs, and Vertical Response. And we like, there are lots of different types of mass email platforms. We like those in particular because they are really easy to use, and it's very easy to make something look nice between templates and just a drag and drop feature. So you don't have to understand code or really know best practices about emails. They take care of all of that for you. Zoho Campaigns in particular will also review your email before you send it out, and they approve it to make sure that it follows best practices and avoids, people marking it as spam or as much as possible getting it directly into the inbox of that email. And then the graphic in the bottom corner here is really talking about, in addition to the personas, you also want to think about in your communications the different stages that people are at in their buying process or their buying journey. So you have your ideal client, bigger umbrella of that is your target audience. Then you have the ideal client. Then you've broken that down into personas. And then even further, you have the group of people that are probably just researching either your company or the type of service that you offer. Then you have a group of people that are considering hiring you or buying from you, and that's where they may be, comparing you to other competitors or trying to understand your pricing. And then you have your existing customers. And an existing customer is really anyone who's bought from you in the past, because if you're reaching somebody with this frequent communication, you could actually inspire someone to start back at the beginning of that buying journey and become a person who's researching or considering a way to buy from you again or buy more from you. Can you go to the next slide?
Yes, I would add here, Elizabeth, that so when you're choosing that platform, and this is just advanced tip that I'll skip, but make sure that if you have contacts, in California or in Europe, you want to make sure that you have a platform that's GDPR ready, and that's something we can help you look at. But I'll jump and I'll just share these later on.
Sure.
On the slides.
So you can go to the next slide. So this is growing your database. So the next step, so what we've talked about so far is how to collect your database and create your database and put your database in a place where you can easily email people and track your communication with them, and even track, the sales that they've purchased through you. The next step is to grow your database, which means how do you bring more people into the database? And that could be people that don't know you, or that could be, continually making sure that anyone you connect with is being added to that database. So the first thing is to continue advertising. Even though we started this conversation talking about the different things that may affect advertising, whether it's the ROI or the conversion on advertising, we still feel that is a best practice for any business to increase awareness, to reach new audiences. And there are ways that you can specify your advertising. So Facebook, for instance, has an option for you to be able to create a custom audience where you upload your own database. You can also explore your website. So make sure that your website is a lead generation tool for you. You can do that through forms where you can collect contact information. Some examples are a contact form, a quote form, sign up, for regular emails. If you go to e-commerce sites, you always see that pop up, save 10% if you join our email list. Those types of things, ways to create to change an anonymous user into someone who their name, and like Anna said, to have the email address is most important for the contact information. There are different things that you can do also to just bring people into your fold. So that would be, engage with them on social media. Is there ways for you to collect an email and contact information from them without, driving everybody to the website? Hosting virtual events, just like this one. It could be live like this webinar. It could be a pre-recorded session that you then advertise and allow people to kind of filter in and watch it on their own. You can have all sorts of networking events and try to get people to sign up for virtual events and neat experiences. Just ways to really give away that expertise that you have for free in bits and pieces, and you can establish some really great long-term relationships with people. And if they don't become a customer, at the least, they most likely will become a referral source for you. And then the last thing, which is kind of similar to a few of these different options, would be to work with a media outlet or an association to co-sponsor some channels that they have. So you could sponsor an e-blast that they send to their subscribers or their members. So it's similar to advertising or doing a live webinar or pre-recorded webinar. You're just doing it with the benefit of this audience that's already engaged and following and has the credibility. You have the credibility of the media outlet or association.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Sure.
I was just checking if we have any questions.
Yeah, we can open it up to see if anybody wants to just ask a question.
Yes, if that's easy, you can unmute. Okay. Well, as we're checking, we kind of want to make sure that, some final thoughts is really to keep it simple to start. Be patient when you're dealing with data, and you kind of, sometimes it's just easy to get in too much of the detail. And what's important is to make sure that you know the sources, you know where things are, and you're starting to compile this information together so you can start emailing, even if it's the first people you have on your clean contact database. And make sure to engage your sales and marketing team in the initiative. And this means, engaging the marketing team if you have a marketing team in place, or if you're working with someone, making sure that they're ready for these changes, and there's a plan in place to the changes in the digital platforms. And the sales team to make sure that they understand why it's so important to collect customer information, prospect information in one place. And then really communicate with your audience, because that's the only way to keep them yours. And you definitely need to make sure that you're top of mind and there's a touch with that audience at least once a month. We know that doing all of this sometimes is a bit overwhelming, so we thought of sharing an offer for a CRM plan setup of a campaign where our team would conduct the marketing and the sales process consultation, which accounts for all that initial check of the setup of where things are, and then actually gather your existing contact database and add it to a free Zoho CRM account and Zoho campaigns. So you can have a platform where you can send and launch a first campaign that we would do for you in this package. We would like to have this, we will have this offer available in the next 30 days. And it's really to help you at least kickstart. So keep it simple to start, be patient, but do something today, because these changes are now real. Okay, so just checking. I know Izetta is also part of our team, and she was checking if we had any questions, or if you just want to unmute yourself, that's easy as well.
Well, our contact information is below. That's Anna's email address and mine. And we would be happy to talk to you more, answer any questions if you want to reach out to us individually. And we just really appreciate you taking the time to sit in and hopefully learn a few tips with your contact database today.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for posting this and sharing this information.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We look